Alrighty. Hi everyone, it looks like we have some people logging in, so we're going to give everyone just a few minutes to get signed on and just give a brief overview. I think that's going to happen from Maddie.
So hi everybody, I'll just jump in. My name's Maddie. I'm a volunteer with the WACAC organization, so I'm going to be tuning out in just a minute. But for all of you who are jumping in, just to kind of know what to expect here, to ask questions to our panelists, you can submit questions through the Q&A and they will respond to those as they pop up. Your camera and microphone are currently off, so you do need to type questions in for the panelists to know that you have some. And to sign up for more questions, you can go, or for more sessions, you can go to wacac.com to see the full list and itinerary of sessions that are available for you. And all of the sessions are recorded, so if you miss one, you can go to WACAC's website and view the recording later. So without further ado, let's get this session started. So this session is called Getting Recruited, What You Need to Know About NCAA Division III Athletics.
Great, awesome. Thank you, Maddie, so much for that introduction. We're going to switch some screen sharing here and get our presentation. There it is, all pulled up. So as Maddie mentioned again, this is Get Recruited, What You Need to Know About NCAA Division III Athletics. And I just want to do a quick introduction of the panelists, myself that you see in front of you, as you can consider us experts for the short while that we have you on this very important topic if you're interested in being a student athlete in NCAA Division III Athletics. So my name is Amy. I serve as a non-resident admissions representative at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. I am a former student athlete, as well as all of us are, and my sport of choice was basketball. Next, just going down the line, we have Mike Pettis. He is the Associate Director of Admissions at Augustana College. His sport of choice was track and field. Then we have Clay Van Diest. He is an admissions counselor at St. Norbert College. His sport of choice was hockey. And then, of course, last but not least, Michael Elliott, our Assistant Director of Admissions at Luther College, and his sport of choice was wrestling. So while we have the background in admissions, we certainly assist students through that admissions process, but really sharing our expertise in that student athletic experience within Division III, as all of us work at Division III institutions and also played at Division III institutions. So really honing in on the value of being a Division III athlete is what we want you to experience today and learn more about today. So the statement that you see in front of you is the NCAA Division III mission statement, and really highlighting on some valuable tidbits or points about this. You are getting an academic experience, right? You are a student athlete. That student portion is first, and you're really learning and growing both on and off the playing field. That truly is what it is. Additionally, you have passionate participation. We see this across the board in any division, but specifically with Division III, you are working just as hard as a Division I or a Division II athlete. You're not necessarily getting paid to play, so your passion is really what pushes you through that athletic experience. Last but certainly not least, what I wanted to highlight is this really is a comprehensive educational experience. Again, putting together that you are a student athlete is really what you're going to be experiencing the most of being a Division III athlete, while doing many things within your experience, both academically and athletically. So now I definitely want to pass on to Michael as he discusses some differences.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. So as we compare the three divisions side by side, you'll notice some similarities, but also a few differences between the three divisions. The two differences that I would like to kind of bring up or highlight, one being the obvious: in Division I and Division II, they're able to award athletic scholarships to their student athletes, with Division III being non-scholarship. So all of our students do not earn scholarships based on athletics. But another difference I wanted to point out that is a little bit that's more interesting, or interesting to us, I guess, is how each division is made up with public and private institutions. So in Division I, you have 80% of the schools in Division I are public schools, with 20% being private. In Division II, it's about 50-50 split. And then in Division III, actually about only 20% of our schools are public, with over 80% of our schools being private. So we found that very interesting. And to go a little deeper into the numbers, I'm going to send it over to my buddy Clay from St. Norbert.
Thanks, Michael. So again, kind of going off of that, as both Amy and Michael have talked about, the Division III experience is unique. It is definitely different than the Division I and II, much beyond just the fact that it's scholarship or non-scholarship. One of the things that's most unique about the Division III model is how many participants are athletes. So in the entire Division III, that makes up about 40% of all athletes that compete at the NCAA level. So for us, that means that a big chunk of the students on your campus, a big chunk of the people there are going to be a part of the athletic field in your school. You can also see there's a wide range of sizes of school, with the smallest number being 313 students and the largest being over 25,000. So what that means is there's a lot of different fits for you, regardless of what kind of campus you're looking for, size-wise, and knowing that there's going to be athletes present on that campus wherever you're at the Division III level. There are 446 schools in the Division III NCAA that have some sort of sports. And again, 80% of those, as Michael mentioned, are private institutions, with about 20% of them being public. But I think one of the things that's unique for sure is, again, the number of athletes that are on a campus. As the previous slide showed, under 10% of students at Division I and Division II schools are athletes, whereas at the Division III level, that number is much higher. Again, one of the things that's nice about Division III is the fact, as Amy pointed out earlier, that you're able to have that full experience as an athlete and as a student on a campus. So while at Division I, Division II, as scholarship athletes, you might not be able to engage in as many co-curricular activities, at Division III, we really highlight that ability. 25% of our students are still able to study abroad for the most part. Almost half of our students are working up to 8.5 hours per week and still being able to attend grad school afterwards and being involved in internships that they might not be able to at that Division I and Division II level. So that student athlete part really puts the students first and allows you that opportunity to really engage in the full experience of college outside of just the athletic portion. And again, as the student athlete composition, as it talks about, 25% on average of students on a campus are going to be athletes. So again, that means that when you're in the classroom, when you're in clubs, when you're in organizations, you're around other athletes. You're not the small end, you're not the minority there, but you actually have a wide range of athletes on campus that allow you to feel more welcomed in that regard. So I'm going to pass it on over to Mike now for the next part.
All right, thanks, Clay. And as we transition to think about the differences between the Division III athlete experience compared to your counterparts at Division I and Division II, it's important to know, as Michael alluded to earlier, that Division III schools do not offer athletics-based scholarships. So your ability on the field or on the court or on the course is not going to dictate your opportunities for financial aid. But your ability in the classroom, your family's financial situation, those will be the primary drivers of financial aid eligibility. And know that the vast majority of Division III student athletes will be receiving some sort of aid when it comes to merit or need-based financial aid. So merit is based on your academic progress in high school, and the need-based aid will be due to the results of the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. As you're talking with your friends and family members and you're looking at recruiting websites, it's also really important to know that only about 2% of high school athletes are going to be awarded some form of athletic-based scholarship. So it's not like a bunch of young men and women around the country are getting athletic scholarships to participate in college. At the same time, ones that do, maybe they're only covering books, or maybe they're only covering quarter of tuition. So it's also important to find a school that's going to invest in your experience, whether that's through an athletic-based scholarship or through merit and need-based financial aid too. And it's really important at the NCAA oversight level that colleges and universities are administering their financial aid equally among student athletes and non-student athletes in order to make sure that they're adhering to NCAA rules and regulations. There are other differences too. It's not just in finances. We, as former Division III athletes, can attest to these statistics that we like to highlight. That the Division III student athlete experience is all-encompassing. We talked about that passionate participation, being able to stay involved in campus study abroad opportunities, research, internships, working with faculty directly, student athletes have a higher graduation rate than the overall student body typically at a school. Higher rates of time management compared to the student body, involved in volunteering and service opportunities, and just generally feel like they're more engaged with the student body and the campus community, oftentimes because you have people supporting you and coming to your games, but you also have people relying on you, your teammates, your coaches. There's more at stake when you're a student athlete, and in your ability to balance the things that you're passionate about inside and outside of the classroom are going to be even more so under a microscope than your colleagues that are not student athletes as well. So as we transition to our next session, we are going to kind of highlight some of the distinctions of our institutions individually. Make sure that if you do have questions that are coming up, feel free to drop those into the Q&A. We will make sure to address all of those at the end, whether it's directly with you, or we'll do that verbally too with the group. So make sure to start dropping those in if you have them. I'm A, so we get to start with Augustana. Augustana is a private liberal arts college in Rock Island, Illinois. So we are right on the border of Iowa and Illinois, right where Iowa juts out a bit, about 2.5, 3 hours west of Chicago. A large 115-acre campus. Our Quad Cities metropolitan area is about 400,000 people. We are right in the average size for a Division III institution with 2,600 students. Predominantly undergraduate, with only one graduate program in speech pathology and audiology. We have about 90 different areas of study, 28 varsity sports. We are members of the CCIW, which is the College Conference of Illinois and Wisconsin. The two Wisconsin schools in our conference are Carthage College and Carroll University in Waukesha. You'll notice that we have a couple of more unique sports. We have recently added men's and women's water polo. There are 27 to 28 varsity sports on campus, as well as women's wrestling, which will all kick off in the 2021-22 school year. And then the thing we highlight the most is the number of academic All-Americans that we've produced. We are number 1 in the CCIW, our conference, number 5 in Division III, and number 10 in the NCAA. So we're very proud of our athletes' ability to balance the things that they're passionate about, again, inside and outside of the classroom. But now I'm going to turn it over to Clay to talk, or actually Amy, to talk about UW-Whitewater.
Awesome.
Sorry.
No, you're all right. It's all good. My slide's up, so that's all that matters. So again, like Mike said, I work at UW-Whitewater. We are part of the UW system in the state of Wisconsin, if you're not familiar, but we are a 4-year public institution, and we're mid-size, classified as a mid-size institution, so considerably larger than some of the institutions within the UW system itself. With about 50 majors and academic minors, over 110 of those. We certainly have a variety of explorations for your academic interests. Located in South Central Wisconsin, very regionally based to some of those large metropolitan areas, students find a lot of interest coming from the cities into the rural area that is Whitewater, Wisconsin. You will see our list of sports and some varieties that are certainly unique to UW-Whitewater. Wheelchair basketball being one of those. We're extremely well recognized for wheelchair basketball, as well as women's gymnastics, but have a long history of excellence for our our football team, as well as basketball, baseball, and other variety of sports. We do compete in the WIAC, the Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, and have a rich standing tradition with post-tournament appearances and yearly national championship appearances as well. I will now pass it on to Clay.
Thanks, Amy. Again, so like Amy, my school is in Wisconsin here at St. Norbert College. We are in De Pere, Wisconsin, right outside of Green Bay on a riverfront property campus. So what that means for us in our setting is we kind of think of ourselves as one of those last fairy tale colleges that's really perfect middle size. So we're small in the classroom with a 14-to-1 student to staff ratio, but with 98% of our students being residential and living on campus, it feels bigger socially with just about 2,100 students overall. We are a Norbertine Catholic private liberal arts school. So again, we're looking at that liberal arts education all around. We compete athletically in the NAC starting in 2021. So that's the Northern Athletic Collegiate Conference. So that's a new conference that we're jumping to that consists of schools from Wisconsin and Illinois. We also have 23 sports offered at St. Norbert, as you can see there, including multiple national championships in hockey, individual championships in track and field, and numerous All-Americans in football, volleyball, soccer, and up and down basketball as well. So for us, we've been very spoiled and blessed in the last 10 years to have over $150 million in renovations to our campus, including having the #9 cafeteria in the entire United States, having a brand new science center, which is one of our top majors, $47 million upgrade there a few years ago, and have been supported from the top down in athletics. Our president at our school is a former athlete from St. Norbert, so having an alumni who is also an athlete really adds to that commitment as a school all the way down to be at the highest athletically on campus. So, again, like these other schools that we're talking about today, very committed to our athletics on campus. And we are a private school in the middle of Wisconsin, right outside of Green Bay. So with that, I'll pass it on to Michael.
All right, thank you, Bud. So Luther College is in Decorah, Iowa. It's up in the northeast corner of Iowa. It's a beautiful area, an absolutely gorgeous area. We're surrounded by the bluffs. We have 14 natural waterfalls and springs in a 7-mile radius. A river runs right through campus, right through downtown Decorah. So again, kind of a picturesque setting that way. The other nice thing about our location is we are centrally located in that 4-state region, very drivable distance from Chicago. We're about 4 or 5 hours away. Milwaukee, about 3 hours away. The Twin Cities, a couple hours away, and then Des Moines as well as 3 hours. So it's very drivable and very convenient to all those locations as well. We are a private liberal arts Phi Beta Kappa institution, roughly 2,000 students, and we offer 60 majors, minors, pre-professional programs for our student body. As you can see, we offer 20 varsity sports. They are listed below, and we are a charter member of the American Rivers Conference. The American Rivers Conference is made up of 8 schools in the state of Iowa, and then recently we added Nebraska Wesleyan to the group as well for a 9-team conference. But moving forward here, I'd like to get back to the recruiting and talking about how this applies to you. As you can see here, this is kind of a communication flow or kind of a recruiting process flow chart. And if you notice, there's a lot of similarities between the college coach recruiting the prospective student athlete, and then also the prospective student athlete recruiting the actual college and the program and where they want to go. So before I get into the identification part, the other thing I just want to mention here shortly, or is important to note, is obviously in the short term, a lot of the research and the evaluation, contacting, all this stuff's going to be happening in a virtual environment. But the good news is we've been doing it for a while, right? So we're getting pretty good at it. And so regardless of the fact that we are going to be living in more of a virtual environment for the time being, I don't think it's going to be any less effective in terms of you finding the college that you want to go to and vice versa, the coaches finding you and going through that recruiting process. The second thing I want to note, as you see campus visit is down below there. Campus visits for sure for all 4 of the schools on this panel here, and I'm going to venture to say that most Division III schools as well. We are now offering in-person campus visits. Now there are some limitations to them. They're only individual visits, but I do encourage you to start to look at the schools you're interested in and start to see if there are some campus visit possibilities, because there's no better way to see a campus and to meet the people than to actually be on campus and do all that. So that's one piece of advice for you, I guess you should say. In terms of the identification process, moving up along there, the competition is obviously probably the top of mind in terms of how coaches identify their student athletes, their prospective student athletes, whether it's high school competitions, AAU or club competitions. Coaches go out all over the country to find their prospective student athletes and start the recruiting process there. As the country opens up a little bit more, campus clinics and camps will start to open up as well. I encourage you to sign up for those. Not only is it a great way to get on, showcase your abilities in front of the coaches, but it's also a great way to kind of hone your skills and your craft and get better at your particular sport. Another great way would be working with your high school and club coaches as well. So a lot of times what college coaches will do is they will reach out to your coaches, the high school coaches and club coaches, and ask them, do you have any students there that are interested in competing at the next level? And would they be good fits for our program? They look for your contact info that way. And so it's important for you then to reach out to your coaches and let them know that, yes, I do want to compete at the next level. I do want to be a college athlete, and it's okay to give my contact info to any coach as well. So that's a valuable resource. Another thing, and this is a little self-serving, but use your admissions counselors. Whether it's a high school visit or a college fair or virtual visit, what you're doing right now is great. This is another great contact. Don't be afraid to reach out to us, come talk to us. I know whenever I get done talking to a prospective student athlete and they've expressed interest in competing at the college level, I call, text, and email the coach right after that meeting and let them know and get that student on the radar there. So again, that's use your admissions counselors as you go through here, as you go through the fall and the winter. And then lastly, and this will bring me to my next slide, is the recruitment questionnaire. And this is Augustana's website. And as you can see at the top, there's a recruit me tab. All of our websites, and again, I'm going to go out on a limb and say all Division III websites will have some sort of a tab, a recruit me tab on their athletics website, whether it's on the main site or in the individual sports. And so I encourage you to again, click on the link, complete the form, and submit it. And that'll go both to the admissions office and to the the athletic office. And to follow up on that, I strongly encourage you to then send an email out to the assistant coach and or the head coach and just let them know who you are. Let them know you're interested in competing at the next level and that you'd like to learn a little bit more about the program as well. And that shows great initiative on your part. And it really, again, is a great way to start the recruiting process with the programs. So with that said, I'm going to switch over to Mike, and he is going to talk about how D3 coaches make those contacts.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. It's very, very important to know that especially this year and this next year, there's just going to be unique ways and a lot of flexibility that student athletes, prospective student athletes, and college coaches and high school coaches are going to have to take on in order to be effective and in order to communicate and showcase abilities. And so, and we'll get to some of those questions that are coming in at the end, but I think it's really, really important to understand that we know that this is unlike any other year you've had. And so we want to just kind of guide you through the process on kind of what to expect generally, but then we'll maybe address some of those specific questions that you have about some of the challenges that you've been facing over the course of last spring into the summer and into this fall. As Division III or prospective Division III athletes identify a potential college or university, they're able to establish that fit. So there's the athletic fit, the financial fit, the academic fit of an institution, and you really want to pursue that interest. Okay, what should you expect then? The great thing about Division III is that the recruiting rules at the Division III level are much more uniform and relaxed compared to the Division I level. And it's the same for all sports. So it'll be important to know that really athletes can begin to receive communication, recruiting materials from the admissions office or the coach, telephone calls, digital communications, really at any time. And typically for most high school athletes, that information will start coming out maybe the latter part of your sophomore year, but typically into your junior year is when a lot of that recruitment communication will happen. So when athletes prior to junior year are receiving more communication, it's typically because they have gone above and beyond to reach out to coaches, to reach out to admissions offices, maybe made an initial visit to campus through a clinic or a camp. But typically most athletes are going to be making contact more directly with college coaches after their sophomore year. Off-campus contacts, so that would be through maybe a competition or a showcase or a tournament or through an AAU club. That won't happen until after sophomore year as well. And then typically just know that with off-campus contacts, maybe a coach comes and visit and watches you play basketball, or they come to your football game and they say, hey, I'd like to be able to, say hi. Most of the time they're watching you. They'll let you know that they were there. They want you to experience your time with your team and your coaches. But just know that if you do want to actually speak with a coach at an event, to make sure that your event is over with and that you get released by your coach in order to do that. And the coach wants to honor your privacy and also honor your ability to take advantage of the experience and the competition that you're in. And then when it comes to visits, at the Division III level, when you see official versus unofficial visit, typically with an official visit, that's going to be something that is kind of sponsored financially through the college. So the sports team or the coach is funding your experience, whether it be through your travel expenses to campus, paying for your meals while you're there. The majority of us, I know that at the Division III level, are typically combining athletic visits with admissions opportunities. And as long as the non-student athletes are receiving the same benefits, same opportunities that student athletes receive, that visit really isn't considered official. So there's typically not as much of a differentiation between those two at the Division III level, but it's important to know what the difference is. And those are going to happen typically after January 1 of their junior year. And I know that most college coaches want to see an application, a transcript, in order for a student to come do an official visit to campus and maybe stay overnight when overnights are available, as well as have a more robust experience on campus with the admissions office and members of the team and other assistant coaches too. And then through all this experience, we're jumping ahead here to the commitment of a program. It's really also important to know that each institution will have their own admissions process in terms of dates, deadlines, requirements to apply. The great thing about Division III is that if you are offered admission to the college or university, you're also eligible to compete for that college or university. You might have heard of the clearinghouse at the Division I, Division II level. Students must pass the NCAA clearinghouse. They have to meet a set of standards. The standards for Division III colleges, admissions offices, are typically higher than those standards. And so students who are offered admission, again, are able to compete without having to go through that clearinghouse. And we get that question on occasion, but it's just not something that pertains to Division III. But if you get to the point where you've met with the coach, you've done a visit to campus, you've been admitted, received a financial aid package, and you're thinking, hey, this is the place that I want to be. I want to make my commitment official. Although really the only official commitment to a college or university is an enrollment or tuition or housing deposit that triggers your kind of enrollment process with getting housing and classes and stuff like that. There is an NCAA created non-binding celebratory form that can be provided to you and your family in order for you to participate in a signing day at your school. Maybe you want to post something to social media. But it is a non-binding agreement. So it's really not an agreement at all. It's a celebratory form. You're able to sign that saying, I'm planning to participate in, sport XYZ at, college XYZ or university XYZ, but know that we won't allow you to sign that form while you're on campus. A coach cannot come out and be there for that ceremony. It's really just a way for you to celebrate with your peers in your school at your signing day. And so that's a great way to kind of cap off that decision, because we know it's a big one as you're trying to find fit. But there's a lot of steps in between. And so we're hoping that we can kind of bridge those gaps between how do you get started, what's going to happen throughout the process, but it'll be really important for you to engage with each and every coach, each and every program, each and every school that you're considering before kind of making that final decision. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Amy to wrap us up with our official presentation.
Yeah, and I'll just have everybody actually go ahead and turn their cameras back on so we can get ready for Q&A. I just want to be really brief and say, contact us. As admissions representatives, we are here for you. We certainly know the excitement of getting in touch with coaches, and we recognize that and certainly applaud those who go ahead and reach out to the coaches when they are able to. Or if you have time, but certainly depending on the device that you're viewing this on, take a screenshot of our information, try and take a snapshot of what you see in front of you. If you're interested in a particular school, go ahead and email one of us or give us a call. Or if you would like to email us all together, we can certainly formulate a response as well. But we are here for you. We know that this environment right now is a little different, but virtually in person, we are still going to get the same content, and that's the best part about it. So I do believe we had a couple of questions come through. But if we just take a quick peek at them. So one of the questions was about recruitment now in the age of COVID. I know that it looks a little differently. And I'm first going to actually pass the torch here to Clay. If my memory serves, you are coaching at St. Norbert's. So I think a firsthand response from a coach would be really great and helpful. And then maybe we can all chime in and give some response if necessary. So Clay, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. I think from the coaching side right now for us, it's obviously a little different. We're not able to get on the road. We're not able to come watch you in person as much as we would like with your athletic participation. But I think the thing I would say is everyone's in the same boat, right? You're not the only one that's struggling with this. It's not like you're the only kid not being seen. And with technology nowadays, it goes a long way. So, if you have huddle film, if you have any full games from the year before, things like that go a long way. And then I think, as we all talked about throughout the entire process, is showing your interest in that particular school, getting to a campus visit, getting to know your admission counselors, know your coaches, reaching out through emails and phone calls, puts you on their radar, and they make sure that they're able to still watch you participate in some regard, whether that's a year ago and able to see the type of person you are. Because I can tell you from the coaching side that all of that plays a factor. It's not just your ability on the field or on the ice or on the track or on the wrestling mat. But it's really being able to see what you're like as a person all around. So showing your interest in a school and letting them know by applying or getting to the admissions process is huge for us as coaches. And then from there, we can figure out what those avenues look like, whether it's through film, whether it's through just contacts with your coaches. I think that that's a big one as well, is having those high school coaches or, AAU coaches or whatever that looks like as a representative to you, to be able to give us an honest assessment of what you're looking like, how you're working during this COVID time, what you're able to get better at, and really being able to find what that looks like for you when you're not able to compete as much, in front of us in person.
Just to add a tidbit, I think it's very important, no matter a global pandemic or whatever situation, communication is always key. Communicate with coaches, communicate with admissions professionals. That's going to be your best asset. And Mike, you turned your mic off, so
I did. I wanted to provide an actual specific example of why what you've accomplished thus far can matter, but also doesn't always matter the most. At the Division III level, one of the best things about this experience is that a lot of students that go D3 haven't had the opportunity to showcase their ability to its fullest potential, whether they're coming from a smaller high school or maybe just an underfunded program, or they've just gotten started with their sport, or they've played their sport a really long time through AAU and club, but they're in a really competitive environment. And so we had a student athlete at our institution who was the sixth man on his high school basketball team and was not heavily recruited, really was even a fringe athlete and fringe student, but continued to show that interest and continued to improve throughout his junior and senior year, both in the classroom and on the court, and came in and became one of our best players of all time. Augustana's had a history program with basketball, was an All-American for us, and is playing internationally now as a professional athlete. So those aren't the common routes students take right to that path. But nevertheless, know that we are evaluating more than just how many points you score, how many tackles you've had, how many kills you've had. So it's really, really important to know that we're looking at the whole student, not just what you're contributing on the field in one day.
for sure.
And Kyle also had another question on there. He was the one young man that asked the first question. And he asked what an email should consist of if they send an email to the coach, and I replied to him privately, but it really doesn't have to be a long email. It's just simply an email stating that they're interested in the program, that they would like some more information. If you've submitted the form, submit the form. Let them know you submitted the form. They may come back and ask for some video, like Clay mentioned earlier. So just have that handy to be able to send to them on a short notice if need be. So, but again, doesn't have to be a long email, but just something to state your interest, I think, is very important.
Awesome. We had another question come through from Dylan. His question is he has heard that you shouldn't contact a Division III coach until you have applied, because some coaches wait to see if your scores in GPA are good enough to get into the school before reaching out. Is that true? Very interesting perspective, and I apologize for the misinformation in some respects. For UW Whitewater, our coaches are certainly not discouraging conversation if you haven't yet applied. Especially for UW Whitewater, we do have an application fee. So we certainly want to have the conversation beforehand, but it is okay if you've already went ahead and applied. We're going to assess all of that information. Part of that recruitment is a recruitment for the entire student body. There is always, in part of the Division III model, a tryout period. So if you're not that true recruit, which is actually the case that I was in, when I went to UW Whitewater, I was a walk-on. I wasn't traditionally recruited, but met the coaches and had that ability to walk on and have a pretty successful career. But it certainly is a myth that not reaching out before you've applied, but certainly open communication is always a good thing. Anybody else want to add to that one?
I will. So,
All right.
And this is a really, really good question, because each school have a slightly different policy depending on the size of the institution, sometimes because of the competitiveness of their program. For example, UW Whitewater, most of these students know, pretty darn good football team. So pretty competitive. And depending on the conference you're in, there may be roster limits too.
Right.
Depending on a conference. So it's just important to kind of do your research, but you should definitely be reaching out to coaches at the Division III level, really at any level, if you have an interest in what they have to offer, both academically and athletically. For us and for many others, there are great ways for you as the prospective student athlete to evaluate your fit, whether it's through a merit scholarship estimator on that college's website, or doing a pre-read with the admissions office. I know a number of admissions offices will provide pre-reads for coaches and their recruits in order to determine maybe that at least estimated admission eligibility or financial aid eligibility. So that's a great way to get started with the process. But I think this reiterates how important it is to have that balance of academics and athletics too.
Yeah, and going off of that, again, I think it, as Mike and Amy both said, it varies school to school. But again, some schools are going to have an application fee, so they might try to see how interested you are before applying. At St. Norbert, we have a free application, so we're always welcoming just getting applied. But definitely, I can speak from the athlete side when I was going through it. If there was a school that I liked that fit my academic need and athletic need, you're never in a bad spot reaching out to a coach. You're never in a bad spot reaching out to an admissions counselor. So while they might not be able to give you the answer or the commitment or any of that information until after the application process has run its course, the initial reaching out and touching base with them, I think, can happen at any time. A lot of times coaches might just wait for that decision until later, but it definitely is not bad to ever reach out early and often.
There's a quick question, Amy, that I'd like to address. We've had students ask about how frequently, if you're not hearing back from a coach, how frequently you should be reaching out to them if you're waiting on a response. You're not alone. There are a lot of athletes who find themselves in that situation, typically depending on the timing of when they're reaching out to coaches. As you can imagine, there are a lot of high school athletes who have an interest in playing in college. And so they're sending a lot of emails. There are a lot of recruiting websites like NCSA or Be Recruited, or through camps and clinics that they're participating in, where your name gets sent to hundreds of college coaches across the country. And so they are constantly trying to navigate and just sift through tons of information and data. So if you reach out to a coach, you complete that form, you send them an email, let's say you do it in the middle of June. Well, understand that, coaches also have family life and free time. And so they might be not on campus or not as reachable in the summer months or different parts of the year. So just know that it's typically not a personal thing. It's a great way to, hey, if you haven't heard back in a week, maybe send a reminder email. If you feel like maybe your message just isn't quite getting across, that's where we come in as the admissions officers. We are typically liaisons to our athletic department. They know who we are. We competed at the school. We know what this experience is all about, and we want to be as helpful as possible. So allow us to be your advocates with coaches too.
I'm going to piggyback off of that. A big piece of advice, we know that parents, guardians, those big support people are certainly a big part of this recruitment process, but it means so much when we get direct communication from the student. And same with the coaches, love that respect of hearing from the student who is interested. So the admissions counselor is certainly here if you need assistance in contacting a coach, but I can't stress enough that there's so much value in hearing from the student that is interested, even if the support person is behind the student, cheering them on or helping them write an email, that's okay too, but definitely note there. I don't see any other questions coming through, so we have about 5 minutes before we wrap anything up. If another question comes in, we'll quick stop, but I thought we could end this by just, if either any of you gentlemen have just one piece of advice during this recruitment process that you could provide to our viewers, I think that that would be extremely fun. So Michael, we can certainly start with you if that's okay. Not to put you on the spot,
Yeah,
but
you could have given us a heads up there.
it's a curveball, right?
Yeah. One piece of advice.
One piece of advice.
No, that's good. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to go back to what you guys were just talking about. Again, coaches, they're balancing a lot of things, whether it's family and sport and they're and they're also the kind of the parent figure to all their athletes as well. So they got a lot on their plate. But you can never contact us too much as admissions counselors. That's our job. That's what we get paid to do. So please, please, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Utilize us. We're facilitators. We're here to get you in the right spots and make this. What I like to tell my families is I work for you. Luther pays me, but I work for you. I'm here to help you out with this whole process. So I guess that's my advice is please never hesitate to reach out to your admissions counselor.
Yeah, and piggybacking off of that, this is supposed to be fun. Getting recruited is supposed to be exciting. It's supposed to be a fun time. It's not supposed to be anxious and overwhelming. I know a lot of times it feels that way. My advice to all of you out there is enjoy the process, right? It only comes around once in your life. Enjoy that process. Find that right fit for you academically and athletically. Find that coach that believes in you. Find those admission counselors who are willing to fight for you. We got 4 good ones right here, and I know there's a lot of other ones out there, but piggybacking off of Michael, you're never bothering us. This is our job. This is what we love to do. Coaches know exactly what they're getting into. They love doing it. Make it enjoyable, make it fun, and enjoy that entire process as you're going, because it goes by too fast.
Awesome. And I'll add that this is going to be among the 4 best years of your life as a collegiate athlete. And you should be striving for that type of experience. And if you're on the fence between, do I want to continue playing? It's hard work. Can I balance it? Are you balancing it now? You are. And that means you can do it in college too. And the experiences that we have all had as varsity athletes, I know that none of us would trade that. And that's probably a really good reason that we're doing what we're doing now, because of the experiences that we've had. So this can open up the door to a lot of unique opportunity for you. So don't pass it up.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all of that great advice. So in conclusion, remember, communicate, have fun, and don't forget to continuously get better and have that great experience. So I don't see any other questions coming through, but we'll certainly stick around to see if we got 2 minutes left on the dime. So I don't know if any of you have additional information you would like to add. I certainly feel like we've covered everything that we possibly could. I hope that everybody can hear our passion and feel our passion that we have for that student athletic experience. We certainly have a passion for the institutions that we work at, but there's bar none a Division III athletic experience. So we hope that you enjoyed the session.
Cool. I guess we can have Maddie throw up her slide too. So.
Wrestling, they call that stalling, Amy.
Yeah.
Well, that was really fun for me to listen to too as a former Division III athlete. So I really enjoyed listening to all of you. So thank you so much for sharing. And for everybody listening in, just so you know, after this session, there will be a super quick survey sent to you. So please feel encouraged and welcome to share your feedback. That's always really helpful for everyone to know if you enjoyed it and what we could do better. In terms of more sessions, again, you can go to wacac.com to sign up for other future presentations and sessions that are available. And then if you missed a portion of today's event or would like to share this with any of your family members or guardians, the recording will be available for you on WACAC's website as well. So with that, I think we'll sign off for now, but thank you everybody for joining and have a wonderful night.
Thank you. See ya.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Oh man. So what sport did you play, Maddie?
I was on the tennis team.
Oh, tennis. Very good.
Yeah.
And where did you go?
I went to Ripon College.
Oh, Ripon. Very nice.
So, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. So
Well,
yeah,
I'm
it was
glad you
really
got to
fun for me
fit.
to listen. Yeah, great to meet all of you and have a great night.
Yes.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Take care.
Well done.
Bye-bye.